Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 6 of our Planetary Survival Guide tutorial YouTube Watchy Majiggy series. One thing you can see over here is, I don't think I've gone over this feature, is apparently in my blueprint I have that toggled on. That is a sorter, one of these sorters right here. Show on HUD. You have to have an antenna for this to work, but if you're building a ship, especially by hand, and then later you want to go and name components and you're not sure which component's which, you can toggle this on and it'll flat out show you exactly where it's at. So you can see where on your ship it is, so you can properly name it however you want or whatever. So it's right in there. If I take off my small ship, my gremlin is the only thing that I have that has an antenna. So if I took my gremlin off, it would stop doing that. And large antennas are massive. So if we go back to our sorter block and we grab all of these and we turn off show on HUD, it won't show up anymore. Cool. And that's a useful feature for trying to find parts inside of small ships and to track down which part is which. If you have like multiple connectors or timer blocks, or like if I wanted to find out, I think when I was having timer block problems with this, where it was, if I had an antenna, I could turn it on and know where my timer block was. But since I don't have an antenna, I mean, I could do it now, but I fixed it, so it's good. Alright, so we're going to go grab some more iron. I left my engines on. That is not a smart thing to do. Oops, unless I accidentally turned them on at some point. So that was drawing some of our power and giving us power issues. No, not always a good thing. So if we come in here, one of the nice things about that LCD, if you look, it's zeroed out. If you make sure when you use the LCD script, if you name the things properly, Midas Mark 1 or, it'll only look at these containers. So if you, for instance, the normal command is that, will look in every single cargo container everywhere. So when you attach to a ship, it'll update and change. So if you name all your things properly, it will allow you to properly look at what you're trying to look at for the specific ship you're on. Same thing with the batteries here. If I didn't have the specific name, it would, once I connect to a base, it wouldn't update properly. And for instance, at the top where that charge time is, at 9 minutes, it would just tell me how long my entire power grid would be until it depleted its charge on its batteries. So that is a useful feature. So we're gonna turn our batteries off of recharge and power up our engines. Use the thrusters, they work. Detach. Use this lightning quick little ship. We're gonna grab some more iron. Our dump block is off, turn it back on. And coasting thrusters, yeah, I went way too quick out here. I'm overconfident with my reactor, probably run out of power immediately. Right, so let's slow this guy down. It's not as useful in atmosphere, I found, but there's another LCD command that that'll be a lot more useful when you're space mining, is the stop time and stop distance. Especially you're going to use less thrusters because you don't have to worry about gravity, just moving heavy objects. You'll be able to move a long distance, say you're a kilometer away from base. You'll know when to stop accelerating and when to start decelerating and letting your reverse thrusters and dampeners stop your ship in order to most efficiently get there and use less power and all that stuff. You can accelerate up to like 20 or 30 meters per second, and then you can monitor your stop time, stop distance, and then you can turn on your dampeners as soon as you get to a distance where you can stop before you hit the base. I think it's got problems with how everything works, so you might have to play with it. I haven't done much space anything, so I actually don't have that much practice with it. But I don't think I finished my thought earlier where I was explaining my process, if I haven't got to that, where the order of building stuff. So the first thing obviously is you gotta land your lander, dock it up so you don't lose it, get your basic base set up, get in realistic inventory at least, get your gremlin built. You need it. There's no way you can hand build stuff. You could go for your miner first, But then you're hand building 2 ships, and that's kind of a waste in my opinion. So you might as well build your gremlin first, and then you build your miner. So fabrication ship first, miner second. Once you get those built, you get some resources in and get your more advanced basic base setup. Work on it until you're kind of established, and you can not worry about power anymore. So you get that large grid small reactor built with some uranium coming in from a uranium mine. If not, if you have no uranium, you're going to have huge problems. You're just going to have to build a ton of solar panels, and you might have to just not do stuff for a while in order to make sure you have the power to run your base. Because if you let your batteries charge, basically you want to use the solar panels. They only charge batteries. There's a bug that basically seems to be a permanent bug until they rebalance all of the power systems. That if your solar panels do not generate enough power to power your entire grid, they will not power anything on the grid. They will only recharge batteries. So it's kind of odd. Solar panels not only kind of suck, they only generate 80% of their power realistically, because when you charge a battery, you lose 20% of the power that goes into it. Control 2, 5, 6, F. Control 1, 5. I need to deal with that stone. It's driving me nuts. Whatever. So these got their full 4 bars. I should expand this solar array so I use less uranium, but again, uranium doesn't seem to. Let's take a quick look. Small reactor on the base. It's outputting max power because it's charging batteries. I'm curious how much of that is batteries. So if we turn our batteries. How much do these guys, when they're fully charged, 11 minutes. Their current input is 2.88 megawatts a piece. I have 5 batteries. That's like all of my power going into recharging those batteries. So when the batteries are fully recharged, you just you can turn them off. The reactor won't be doing anywhere near as much work as it currently is. So we've got that to look forward to. So what we want to do, at least one of these, is the discharge. Let's turn off the discharge on one of these batteries. And what we can do is rip apart some of these other batteries, just because we want to get rid of the space at some point. Those 120 power cells are just turning into scrap in my inventory, which gives us a little bit of iron back. But that's why there's the scrap metal. That's why you don't want to rip apart batteries. When possible, you want to be careful with them. Because power cells, nothing in the game is terribly expensive when it comes down to it. But you want to conserve things, especially on realistic settings, as much as possible. I don't know what happened here. Why can't I get up here? Alright. So, those guys, let's see how much power they're generating. That's a good spot, because for most of the day, it's going to generate full power. So if we go solar, they're doing 117 kilowatts a piece, and we got 6 of them. So that's almost 700 kilowatts of power, which is a little more than one small reactor. And that is one of the problems with solar. Solar is really only good later game, which is counterintuitive, you might say, when you actually can build massive solar farms in space, where you have them just sit there and all they do is generate power and charge batteries, and then every once in a while you go out to those batteries and grab them and use those batteries to charge your base and stuff. So this is actually going through iron slower than I imagined it would. So we are going to need, we got a lot of steel plates. Basically we're working on charging this guy up, and he's at, see, one problem you can have with stone when you mess up and dump things is that if you dump a big enough item, it'll do damage. You can actually make weapons. You can weaponize those stone blocks. There was a video of this guy had a giant container full of stone, and he blew it up, and it just peppered his base with tons and tons of stone, and it was pretty cool. Alright, so let's see. We need our steel plates. Actually, that might not show. I have tubes, so that would have worked. So we grab all these, throw them in our gremlin. 23, or half weight capacity. So we can always grab more. Let's grab all of our secondary components. We're gonna need a lot of those. We're gonna need a lot of those. Can I carry them all? I can. We need a lot of computers. We have plenty of steel tubes. We have plenty of metal grids, motors, girders. Oh, this stuff's got to go back in the base because we're not building any windows. Let's throw those in there. I remember because I ripped those windows up around the command room earlier. Alright, so we're at 42, 43. So that's about 70% of our capacity we want to be carrying. Grab some more steel plates. Let's double check our power situation before we go off and wreck our ship, which would suck. So we're about 60% power, 8 minutes to recharge, so we should have enough to get in there and do some work. So we'll go to bar 2, we will press 6 and turn off recharge, press 7 to turn on our engines, press 9 to detach. We need to put our other welder on our bar. Cool, alright. I don't have a group set up yet because this isn't technically my Model F, which has everything set up for dual welding torches. So we'll turn both of those on, and we have, what, 20 minutes of power? Yeah, 25 minutes of power hovering, so we're good to dump at least all the resources we have into this monstrosity of a base. So once we get these built, we'll be able to move our ships from our lander over there to their normal hookups over here. And we'll start, we have plenty of ore in our base to keep those working forever. So we can move over here and we can start filling up our large cargo, which will allow us to do many, many more runs worth of resources, of ores into it, like especially iron. We can stockpile 4 or 5 runs and let the arc furnaces just blast out a ton, and our assembler set up once we have those built, of which I think this setup has just a pair of assemblers. But one of them will probably lock on permanent. There's a repeat function that you can use for assemblers, and they will repeat, but you can set it up in such a way that it repeats not just a specific item, but like a sequence of items or a group of items, for instance. So you can set up like 10 metal plates, 10 steel plates, 5 construction components, and 5 interior plates. So you'll build 10. You'll build twice as many steel plates as those other ones, and they'll constantly switch between the two. So it'll burn through a lot of your iron, which is super easy to get, and you're going to need a lot of it, so you might as well keep going. But it won't just make tons of only steel plates. You'll need more of the other things, but you can sequence it such that you get the components that you need the most of. So what I do need to check is what I'm missing over here. So what we need to build. So we need more steel tubes and construction components. Steel tubes, construction components, interior plates. Steel tubes, displays, a couple of displays. Yeah, displays, some motors. I don't know if I got in there or not. Alright, so we need a lot of steel tubes. So it's basically all iron. And as you can see, we have plenty of iron ore. Our assembler is struggling basically to keep up with all this. We don't need all those though. We're gonna need, let's say 300 construction components. Let's do 300 of those. Let's do 500 of those. Let's do another 300 of those, another 300 of those. And then we'll dig back into our steel plates. 500 of those. I think our other components were largely good. We need displays, so let's get. We're gonna need a lot of silicon. So we're gonna do 100 displays and 200 computers. We're gonna load them there, and we're gonna go get some silicon. I think we had some next to uranium, which again I did not mark, which you should. Let's get in here. I think I forgot to turn off my thrusters here. I did. Let's turn those off, save some power. Power is money. So turn recharge off, turn engines on. Let's double check our power because we don't want to wreck. Fully recharged in. So we're going to go ahead and detach, and we're going to fly up. And remember where our uranium was. Where was it? Over here? I think it was over here. Coasting thrusters. Yeah, there's our uranium hole. So I'm going to come over here. Slow us down helicopter style. It goes really quick if you do that. Just be careful you don't fall. Alright, so I like to mark like right over the hole so you fly right towards the waypoint and you're good. So we go GPS, new with R1, uranium. Now the question is, do I want to use the same mining tunnel for silicon or make a new one? I think silicon was shallow right here, so the base is behind us. I like this. I could fix my uranium hole, but we'll go like this, and we will go at about this angle, and we will just dig a silicon mine right here. And then this I will GPS properly. So you do this, fix our angle. So we're gonna go straight in at it, and then once you've dug the hole a little bit, open your GPS thing again, open this up, and we will go silicon. Silicon. That looks wrong to me. Oh, I missed an I. Silicon. There we go. And we will dig straight down to our silicon, and we will turn the stone dump back on. And I really want to get that sorter set up, or you know what? Dump all the stone anyway, because we don't need reactor components for a minute, so I don't have to worry too much about it. And the way lighting works is crazy, even in broad daylight. Once you make a little tunnel, it gets really dark, so you're going to need these spotlights pretty much anytime you mine, which is pretty cool, but I don't know how to think about it. So we get rid of all this ice and stone. Ice, the reason, I think I've already explained it, ice lakes are a great place because you will need a lot of ice when you start playing around in space. If you use hydrogen engines at all, give yourself oxygen, so all kinds of stuff. And of course I didn't take all the iron out because our inventory, we're having inventory troubles. So you can come out backwards if you don't make enough room for you to spin around. There we go. Although third person camera, again, super buggy. If you noticed a few times I'd snap into first person mode when I was looking around, it does that. That wasn't me going into first person mode, that was the game just bugging out on us. Alright, you can see our base starting to take shape here. It's pretty cool. And once our base is set up, I want to try space. So normally I'd like to build ginormous, sprawling atmospheric planet bases, but I'm not really going to. I'm basically going to build this survival bunker out, and once I have that built, I'm going to plan on the further stages, which I think I trailed off again when I was explaining it. So after you get your bunker base set up where you're kind of comfortable down there, you need to make a trip for platinum fairly early once you're established. The reason you do that is, turn that off just so I don't dump any more stone, is platinum, like uranium, takes ages to refine. So you want to get the platinum so you can start refining the platinum, because platinum is the only resource that's not on the planet, so you have to leave the planet to get it. Platinum is used for the best tools in the game, which are important to us on not high welding speeds, as well as thruster components for ion thrusters. Ion thrusters are like atmospheric thrusters for space, where they don't take fuel, they just take power. And hydrogen require hydrogen fuel, which is what you use all of this ice for. So eventually our little survival bunker will expand to become some kind of ice refinery more than anything, but after the bunker is built, I will work on getting like a space platform built that will expand our production capabilities beyond this basic stuff here with a refinery and some arc furnaces and a couple of assemblers. And it'll start as a base edition, but I will quickly convert it into a spaceship that'll take it up so we can start building a space station out of our basically our little Earth base. So I'm thinking that's going to be the best way to go about it. So there's a few things. I'm going to fill in some of these holes. Boom, boom, boom. I can lay down some of these. Boom. Eventually we'll need all this stuff built. Don't need it at the moment. So we got silicon. We need to put the silicon in a refinery, which I forgot to do. Inventory, refinery, ore. Ore will give us all the ores. Grab the ore, throw it in there. Cancel. Let's see how much uranium I can rip out of here because I want to get all this silicon in here and get it all refined. All right, so we got silicon wafers going. So now our production, we can go into displays and computers. We have silicon incoming and we have iron. So we're good here. So our assembler is fine. It's pulling in all this iron, but kind of slowly. So let's go ahead and grab some silicon and some iron. Ingots. Let's throw a bunch of iron in there. Okay, so that's filled up with those. So that's one that it'll slow your efficiency down because it'll pull items as it needs them, which can hurt you in the long run. Obviously, you see it's not pulling in the components and immediately building things. When I have more of the regular base constructed, I will show you Tim. Why did that not move? And we can use Tim to very easily manage our inventory without so much requiring the sorters. Are good for mass scale stuff, like making sure that my favorite use of it is just drains for your mining ships to drain all the ore into their storage, for your refinery systems and arc furnaces obviously to drain all the ingots out because they don't need to sit in there, and then for your assemblers to drain all the components and tools that they build out into another storage. I don't generally like to use them to push things into things, like your refineries, for instance. I have done that in the past and it just causes problems. So I just use them to pull things out that don't need to be sitting in the output, for instance. So this needs to go here, and let's grab our displays, throw them in here. I'm working on computers. Yeah, we need a lot of computers. We might have wanted to build in a second assembler. If you're playing, you might want to do that. There's not a whole lot of room on this thing to squeeze it in next to the other one. I don't think to do. Actually, you could put one. Actually, you could just put one right there, which actually I might do that while I'm doing this because that'll double my output, and then I can drop the power requirement effectively because that conveyor block. Actually, we'll have to see how. I don't know what's up here yet. I think that's the oxygen generator. What is this? Oxygen generator. Is that the only place it's connected? No, I don't even think it's connected down there. Is it? You can break things? Yeah, all that stuff's connected. So I could put an assembler here, and I could just put another assembler here and not worry about the modules there. Because how's our power? So we go reactor, small reactor, massive megawatts of power. See, this is the other thing that LCDs that are going to be very useful for is like I could build one here, and the problem is again I need a timer block and a programmable block which I already ripped apart. So it's better to build them on the base. They were actually right down here, so I could use my hologram and my projector to get them built out and built up. But it's not. I mean, that's not the biggest thing in the world for right now. So let's see how quickly this is producing the components we need. So let's go ahead and grab in here, Grab our components again. Grab our computers. I don't think we're gonna need this many computers right now. We got some displays in here. We're gonna need a bunch of motors. No, we already have a bunch of motors. I think that's enough computers. You can probably stop that. Let's move our computers back. Does that not work? Apparently not. That's kind of dumb. Okay. I guess the one it's currently working on, you can't move. Small grid. That's a naming thing we can play with later. Explain that a bit. We're gonna need those tubes. We're not gonna have it anywhere near enough construction components or tubes for what we have. But we're gonna go 6 is off, 7 is on. So we're good to go. 1 and 2. Let's build in first person here with our all our displays going. I think we're out. Are we have that few steel plates? Oops. So I guess we're gonna need a few more. So that increases our storage capacity, which is great. Honestly, I might rip that apart for the components because it takes so many components. It's really not the most. I just have that set up so that once that's supposed to be like an emergency container where you put have basic components in there, and once they're in there, they can't get sucked out and be used by other things. So you'll always have access to some of the most basic components to build your base in case catastrophe hits. So there's our arc furnaces. That's good. That power is really nice because it'll actually show on the far right where you have your power time and your power draw, which is that little lightning icon above H2. That display down there actually shows it all as well. So let's turn those off. And what I'm gonna do is stay hovering so I don't rip up my ground with my engines. And I'm gonna rip this down for now and build this sorter. Okay, that's an oversight. That's not supposed to look like that. I guess I have it hidden behind an oxygen generator so you can't see that. But again, I'm OCD about a lot of that stuff, so. Alright, so I use those components to build this one, because that one's more important to get built. And same thing up here, we got a couple of things we can dump those resources into. A lot of those aren't important to build at the moment. So let's go ahead and, how many of these can I grab? I'm just going to throw them all in here. See, that should not be hard to target, but it is. Right, so what are we missing? I think lots of tubes, interior plates, construction components, not so much construction components, steel tubes, interior plates, and a handful of construction components. So we need to check what we're building in here again. Production, we don't need those for a minute, so we'll push those back in the queue. Let's go ahead and get some interior plates made. We're good on silicon. We have iron. I guess we're technically running out of iron. How much? Yeah, we are running out of iron, so it looks like we're going to do an iron trip while our assembler assembles for us. But I think, too, what we're going to do is we're going to double our... This is insane. Alright, so I think we're going to double our capacity to assemble things when we get back, I think. Build that other assembler next to that one. We have the right hookups. We don't have to worry too much. So recharge, engines off, tools off. So we'll hop up here to our Midas. Hop in. 6 and 7, 9 up. Iron is that away. 2 coasting thrusters off. Off we go to grab some more of the beautiful red ore. It would be nice. I was playing around with some space stuff to see, because I have like 0 experience up in space because I've spent all my time on planets because I enjoy planets, but the ore up there is insane. There's so much of it, so easy to get to. So I built this really nice tunneling miner with a 5x5 design, which is one of the more standard ones. And I really like the way it came out because I had to build it asymmetrically for the engines to work. But it'll show you the scale, the exponential scale increases that I really like. Where once you go up to the big ships, even my big planetary miner doesn't even touch this one. Well, I guess technically it does, but I'm not sure if I'm going to build that in this series or not. Since I kind of want to get the space stuff, because I have some really cool ideas for a space station where, like I said, you build the base pod edition, and just basically it's built as a spaceship, and you launch it up there, and then you use it as like the kernel of a space station. But I like the idea of a mobile space station, and there's a way where you can take, I gotta dump my stone, you can take ships and stations and you can convert them. While my stone's up, and I'll show you. If you go here, small grids don't have these, but this is actually, I don't think I've shown you this screen before. So if you go into here, your terminal, go to your info screen, and we can name this grid Midas Mark 1. Okay, so now what you can do is I'm going to hop out of here real quick. I'm going to go back to my info screen, and these are all of my grids. Like this thing, just go away. This can, if you have hundreds of these, you will have lag problems. So what you can do is you can go and you can clean these out. So if you don't have your stuff, I think I already showed it to you with the gremlin here. So Midas is named static grid. This is obviously our base, so we can. I think we have to go to it to change it. But like I said, so if we're on this, we can actually, it'll say convert to ship because it's a station. This will allow you to turn your space station into, if it's a station in space, it's anchored and it will never move, I think, or something like that. I don't know. It functions differently in code. So you can actually have problems when it's a ship if you connect a bunch of other ships to it, whereas if it's a station, you don't have those problems. So my plan is to build one large industrial mining station with a bunch of mining ships attached to it that I basically take the station to the new asteroid field that I want to mine, and then I convert it to a station, and then I use the mining ships to kind of rip apart all the asteroids, feed the station, and when it's done, it reconverts to a ship and flies to a new place. Well, that'd be a pretty cool design. But you take your little space station ship addition to your base, launch it up there, you build this station around it, which gives you a platform to mine in space and refine, and then you just build it out and you just exponentially increase. So you take this mining ship that mines 26,000 ore per trip, right? And then you use it to build your base, and then you use it to build, say, my strip miner that I like. It's an atmospheric version, and that one can mine 1,000,000 ore per trip. So you're up from 26,000 to 1,000,000. So you can use that 1,000,000 ore to build a bigger ship. So when you get to space, it'll help you build your space station much quicker, first of all, and expand your base much quicker. And then once you get to space, you can build one of these smaller miners that can mine maybe 100,000 to 200,000 ore in their hold, because they're a small grid ship, and you use them to accumulate enough ore to build your bigger mining ship in space, which can hold 1,000,000 liters worth of ore, which is 2.7 million ore, I believe it is, something like that. So you go up from 1,000,000 ore a trip to 2.7 million, and then you use that 2.7 million ore per trip, largely iron, to build my Colossus, which is 129 drills. And that one can mine 30 million ore per trip, I think. Yeah, like 12, like 28, 29, 30 million or something like that. 2, 5, and 6. F. Cool. Yeah, so once you scale up to that high, I mean, that's in survival settings. If you play it with like 10 times inventory, you literally multiply all those numbers by 10, and you see the insane amount of resources you can get a hold of, which is why I don't particularly see times 10 inventories in a very high light. Alright, so we need that iron. It's working now. Our arc furnace, I'm sure, is firing up. Inventory, you can kind of hear it. No? Why is it not working? Is it off? I didn't turn it off, did I? Oh, that could be why. It's not the right arc furnace. Yeah, those are the other arc furnaces. There we go, arc furnace. I forgot those were actually done. Okay, so we have that going. Our production is working on those interior plates, so we can go ahead and do our component filter. Grab all of our interior plates and throw them in the gremlin. Grab all of our tubes and throw them in the gremlin. Is that the gremlin? What is the gremlin, I believe? Base small cargo, I can't access that. It's not in the conveyor system. We have a decent number of silicon wafers, it looks like. I got a few more computers. Don't really need to, I don't think, but we're good. Right. Okay, good. Gremlin's fully charged. You can see the 4 pips on the battery. That's why I don't actually have these armor extended out, so you can see those pips to give you a indication on if it's charged or not. Alright, so we're going recharge off, engines on, disconnect, and power up our welders, and we'll get on over here. And I generally don't use the coasting thrusters on this thing for the fact that you don't really go on long trips with it. You can. If you find that you do, you just make a group and you can go in here, and they're all the thrusters that fire forward. This is atmospheric thrusters. The one in parentheses at the end, where you can see parentheses F, they show up on the search. The game puts those in for you. But they only put it in if you're flying the ship, I believe. It doesn't do it if you're looking at the K panel. Like if you access a control panel from outside the ship, it won't tell you that. But I'll name them, as you can see, F1, F2, F3, F4. Just differentiating. You don't really. I've stopped actually doing that on some of my new ship designs, where if I have, especially on the Colossus, when I have like 300 or 400 small cargoes on it and 129 drills, I don't actually name them 1, 2, 3, drill 1 to drill 2. I just name them all the same thing because it doesn't really affect anything. You don't need to look for drill number 5 or anything like that. So you just name them all the exact same things, and it works out. Alright, so we're missing some components again. Make sure you're using your Q and E to keep the ship level, because while this is a very robust ship when it comes to thrust, it can roll, and you will be screwed if you roll. So we just need a bunch more tubes and construction components, it looks like. So I think I was saying I was going to expand my assembler array here. What do I need? I think I can just... I think that needs steel tubes and crap too, so I could, I think, do this by hand. My inventory's empty. So let's go ahead and rip this down by hand. Open up hotbar for 7. And that'll screw up our setup for a minute. Assembler on 5. So we'll flip our assembler over. That's not right. Why do I not have it? Ooh, that might not actually work. I thought it did. Because it's got to go up and to the side. I can add a thing up there. That'll work. Alright, might as well just put this here. I need steel plates for this thing. Shit. Okay, so that was not the smartest thing ever. So let's go ahead and throw this guy back down. Let's just do it like that. And then we'll put this conveyor block back in here. And we should have a component. Oops. That was weird. I swore I hit one. So we just have a component, so we build this. And then we'll build that assembler, which will double our assembly output, which is basically for our iron right now, as we need tons of iron stuff. So we're going to need steel plates, motors, construction, everything with the construction components. Construction, we have no construction components. Okay, so we'll do that. Alright, so we're just gonna need tons of those things. Construction components and steel tubes. Your conveyor systems usually use a lot of those things. And then we're also gonna want to place some more blocks soon with our projector. And how is our iron ore doing? We still have 7,000 sitting around, so we're good. Oh, we don't need to do another iron run. Let's see, our uranium ingots. Did we burn through all of it? Oh, that's not the best thing in the world. Okay, so I overestimated our power situation. So yeah, I like that power. I don't have to worry about power because normally in past games I've never worried about power. So I think that's permanent. That refinery is permanently doing uranium, and it's basically going to be stuck doing that. I think what I'll look into real quick is more solar power. Why is it that I can't walk up that? I have no idea. Let's see. I have solar power, solar panels on my bar. So that's solar cells is the main, basically just solar cells and nothing else. So if we were to do that and build a bunch more solar panels, solar cells require nickel and silicon, and we have 64, so we need 640 nickel per, and something like 40 silicon wafers, so not a lot. Nickel. We have a lot of nickel. We have enough nickel, not really. No, we don't. We have enough nickel for one more solar panel. So we need a nickel mine. We don't have one. Silicon's fine, because that's only one trip of silicon, I think. We have. We're still going through. Okay, that's why we're out of uranium, because we're doing silicon right now. So let's get some more uranium, because we went through those 7 ingots already. We're gonna need more. And we're going to need that assembler built. Let's see, I already said I need to park this the other way. Come here, you. This fucking cockpit all the time. Fucking struggle. Component. Let's grab these. 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 We can build batteries. We can build one base battery. Oh, there's some more of those. That's good. There. Computers, I guess. Interior plates. They got plenty of storage on this thing. And do I think I have large steel tubes on here. I don't have large steel tubes. I must have used them all. No, there they are. Thought I had some. Let's get rid of these windows, though. We don't need those. So just eyeball our weight. We're more than good enough. Off, on. Detach. Let's get this assembler built so we can burn through our iron at a much more rapid pace. And so if we find a nickel mine, the problem with nickel is refining it. It's much slower to refine than iron. We can use our arc furnaces for it as a stopgap early on. Let's dump the rest of our resources into our base here because we need to finish. So we finish our basic inventory loop here is kind of the goal, because then we can start dumping all of our ore into the base instead of the lander. Okay, so that's done. So now I need to finish these guys out here and we'll be good to go for the actual Did I break them both? No, I did not. Yeah, I think I've said that before. Those are the most fragile blocks in existence. Right, so let's go ahead and dock here, kind of more the proper way. I'll find out what we're missing there. I think I can hand run that over and finish that. And we're gonna need to place some more blocks also. 5 and 6. F. Let's see what we're missing. Components and or steel tubes. Construction components, 40. Components. Control Shift grabs 100. So now we have enough. So this conveyor sorter is done. So what we're gonna need to do now is fix our stupid shit. We need to start production on our second assembler. Assembler component, so I can find it. Production, assembler number 2. So we're gonna need extract components, interior plates, steel tubes, steel plates. Maybe some more displays, a few more computers, more of those, and more of those, and a bunch more of those. So it's 25,000 more ingots needed for iron-wise. Iron ingots. We're already cruising on to that goal. And this one's using 11,000, so we need 30,000 ingots on hand. Iron ingots and iron ore. Iron, is that all of our, yeah, it's not remotely full, so that's all of our iron ore. So we'll probably need to do another iron ore run. We're not going to be ripping our base down anytime soon, so let's go ahead and rebuild our arm here. We don't have the hydrogen to do that yet. Let's go ahead, top off our hydrogen, and again, if you didn't know, our hydrogen's coming from that oxygen generator over there. We could rip off that oxygen tank and move the oxygen generator over. I don't even have the fucking basic components for this thing. So we need steel. So we need some of those. Some of those. So we're gonna need a couple of steel tubes. A couple of steel tubes. Motors, I forget which one is which, so I'm just gonna grab enough for both. I think it's construction components, so we already have some, so we want steel plates. Are we out of steel plates? I guess I thought we had more steel plates than that, but apparently we do not. Alright, so let's grab this guy on here. OCD, so I like them in the same direction. We need two more small tubes and 2 computers. So steel plates, 2 tubes, 2 computers, components, computer 2. Okay. I don't know what all that crap that fell out was. I guess I had somehow got ice or stone in there. That was weird. Alright, so that's all working out. We're gonna need some iron soon, but what I want is... Where's my stupid ship? Alright, here's that. I don't need any motors. I don't need any of those on me. I do need some of these. And let's go ahead and move our steel plates there. Because for some reason I'm completely out of steel plates. And I don't want to carry this stone around anymore. Keep forgetting to drop it off. Not a lot, but... Alright, so I have steel plates. I can turn on my projector from here now. It's all the same grid. So if we grab our projector and turn it back on. Take a minute to update. Alright, so we don't need any of that crap. We don't need any of that crap. So let's place this guy and that. No! And that guy. No. I'm out of interior plates. Right. That's annoying. Plates, interior plates. There. It's not accidentally. Right. Kurt, would you place the block? Right, so I need you. Oh. Oh. One thing to do, if you do that, is drop or stop holding your tool. They're supposed to, when you die, you're supposed to drop the tool in your hand. That doesn't seem to be the case these days, so you just lose it. So you have to rebuild it. So if you fall and you put it away, it'll drop on your corpse. If you do not, you will lose the tool and probably never find it again. So there's that. So let's go ahead and get these modules in here placed. What did you place? That was weird. Okay, so place that, place those modules. I should be able to reach them all from out here anyway. And then I want these assemblers constructed, and I can do those power modules later. And then I will build the hookup for my gremlin. And then I also want these two built. I don't have interior plates for them, which is weird because I had enough, I thought, to place a ton of single unit blocks. All right, so that's our entire production system more or less done without the add-on modules attached. So we'll work on those next, which will basically double our production because we'll have 2 refineries, more than 1 arc furnace, 4 assemblers, all the pipage to make it all run nice and smooth, and we will be in business, and we'll get on that in the next video. Thanks again, guys, for watching. I hope this helped you, and I will see you in the next one.